that are close to the studio, the new immigrants in the crypto community. I wanted to talk to you guys who have been involved with all kinds of projects like the space program and Ware Testers and ISRU and stuff, and take a moment to address any questions you have. I read all that's on Discord. So I've been reading all your comments, and I know there are a lot of questions. I think this is a great opportunity to dig in a little bit. We also got Charlie here up at the top. Charlie, you want to say hi to everyone so I can hear your voice?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Hey, Tom and Aram.
Hey, Charles. And Benjamin's really important. Hey, Benjamin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning.
Thanks for joining. So I was just saying to everyone, sorry, and I'm going to probably repeat this a couple of times because I hear you're just coming in. But I thank the crypto community, and we're going to do more crypto focused stuff. But I want to remind everyone that today we're going to talk to the new crypto immigrants and the old school friends of the studio, because I think there are a lot of questions about this new space, and I wanted to take an opportunity, especially with Benjamin, who's managing the Discord channel, because it's a job in itself, and it's an important part of the community because it's where all the information is managed, and without information, the crypto doesn't work. So Ben's huge and one of us, but I wanted to make really clear that like Aram and Charlie and I even see Leandro. I don't know if Noel's up, but like these guys, we worked together tirelessly for the past 5 months to build this totally authentic crypto project and totally authentic studio project. And I'm so like proud that we found a way to respect the crypto community, of which we're recent immigrants, and we managed to do it while keeping the values of the studio 100% authentic. And we invented 3 major things in this space. The transparency of everything being on the blockchain. Maybe we didn't invent that, but there are not other large-scale projects that do this. We invented, thanks to the epic coding of NFT studios, minting from burning 3 NFTs and making them into one new one. And, which is, by the way, like not a small thing. Like no one's done that before. You're going to see other projects coming out after, I'm certain of it. And we found a way to bring, and most importantly, I think this is the bridge, something that exists authentically in crypto space and authentically in meat space. It's an NFT rocket and a meat space rocket together as one, with no one being more important than another. And I guess my point in all that is that this is an art project, just like everything else that we do. This is a studio project. So the values and successes and problems and failures and all the transparency that we do and everything that you love that we do in the studio, we are bringing to this space. So I know that it's new, so I think there's some opportunities to ask questions.
So Tom, I'll kick it off. I'll ask you the first question. So, some might say you're such a plywood proselytizer. Plywood has been our religion for so long. Maybe you could kind of speak to those who are new to why we've come into the crypto space, about what values we kind of found that we share with this space, or like what made you interested in the blockchain and in the crypto community.
Well, so you guys know we're always talking about conceptual art, and just to pick one, Soloid is kind of a favorite of the studios for personal reasons, but even beyond the personal connection, Sol's dedication to transparency and showing every step and like the rules, like whether it's you do push-ups to failure, then you do the line drawing. You got the rules, and you do what you can within that. Soloid's incomplete open cubes from 1974, I think 1972, is like, to me, the key work of art, the bridge. I talked to Saul's daughter, Sophia, and we both agree that Saul was alive, he would be working in this space. So it's like I keep talking about this project. I'm sorry if you've heard me say, I'm going to say it again. He drew a cube, like a line drawing of a cube with an incomplete part. He removed one part, and he drew every permutation of how to remove one or two or three or four or five or six different parts till you had like almost no parts. And that's all in a poster, and it's like a few hundred little sketches, and it's one little grid. You can look it up. Follow it. Incomplete open cubes. And then when I saw CryptoPunks, I was really taken by how it was kind of like a four-dimensional version of that. It wasn't really in 3D space. It was something that you can only access through the algorithm of the computer or the sorting function of the computer. So, like, in other words, if there are 10,000 different punks with a few, with 100 different attributes, actually, there are probably many more thousand possible, but you can sort using the attributes function on OpenSea or in the Larva Labs marketplace for the kind of punk that you're looking for. And I really was into a punk with a red mohawk and purple lipstick. So I was able to search, and yeah, there are a bunch of them out there. And I found my dream punk through that. And so I guess but even before falling in love with this one particular punk, I really fell in love with the whole infrastructure. And I didn't want one punk; I wanted all of them. And I didn't even want all of them. I just wanted the system. And I think that that's what we love about conceptual art is it's a way of understanding and developing your systems. And I think if I were to teach another semester of Ware Tester, I would say, let's work on creating rules that work for us and create a bunch of guidelines. And I know that some people have created their own rules and have done this. I think that would be the next semester's work. And then, stick to those rules and work within them. And then you'll find that within a very narrow set of rules, there's an infinite array of things that you can do. And Eames Studio always said, I love the constraints of a client because it helps keep away the existential abyss. I can actually get some work done instead of getting all freaked out about the endless possibilities of what I can and can't do. So, but you just asked about, like, Aram, about plywood space and how this is authentic. Is that right? Was that kind of the question?
I think maybe a follow-up for me would be, I think one of the connection points that really made the blockchain click for us and how it ties to the values of the studio would be, if you could talk about how there's the evidence of all the marks on the work versus what happens on the blockchain.
So without getting into a crazy lesson of how the blockchain works, because I'm not sure I would get all the facts right. It's a computer. In fact, it's not one computer. It's many computers around the world that all share the same information. So you can't fake the information because we'd have to fake it on thousands of computers, and it's just physically impossible to reach all those people. And the information has to be consecrated evenly among all servers. Otherwise, it's like there's some mistake and error. So there's like zero evidence of fraud. There's hacking. You can steal someone's password and steal other money. There's all kinds of other kind of crime that goes on, but it's all there in the plain and open for everyone to see. I'm sorry. I just wanted to also introduce Maddie the Kid, who's also part of our team, who we've worked so hard with endlessly, who's just like incredible resource for information. So like if you engage with Maddie or Benjamin, it's like engaging with Aram or Charlie or me. Like we are all part of the same team. So I know some of these are new faces, but I would really trust them even more than me. As I've said many times, you can't trust me because I'll fuck it up on the calendar. I'll not be late, but you can trust Aram. In the same way, you can really trust Maddie and particularly Ben in this channel. Also up on the leaderboard is Leandro, who with Noel is leading the back end, the coding stuff, and he's the guy who makes it possible to combine three into one. Because it would take me a whole other several lifetimes to figure out how to do that. And NFT studios are just like the fucking slayers. I mean, these guys, Benjamin is like pumping the stoke button so brilliant. And they've also been our teachers and helped us to put everything on chain. So what that means is every transaction, every bit of data that we're doing in this space is completely transparent. And, no offense, but Apes doesn't do that. CryptoPunks doesn't do that. There are a lot of awesome projects I love that do not do that. And it took a lot of extra time and a tremendous amount of resource. But once they explained it to us, and it took like a week for it to get through our thick crypto immigrant skulls, how to understand. Once we really understood it, we're like, whatever it takes, because the value of the studio is always about transparency and seeing what went down and when and who. So that's something that we will always do as we develop this more, is always get, and it means it takes twice as long, but it also means that if I fuck it up and don't pay my server fees and flake out and decide to like say, fuck y'all, I'm going to make ceramics on some tax haven island off the coast of Portugal, like this thing is going to live on the blockchain forever. Like you can't get rid of it. So that is the kind of thing that I always want my sculpture to have, is that I want it to be more responsible than me. Yeah, that's my answer.
No, I think that was really great, Tom. And just another shout out to Leandro and NFT Studios. Yeah. I think what they've kind of brought in the last 7 months, which a lot of you might not know, but we've been working on this project for a long time, is kind of taking those shared values that we have in the space and building them and bringing that vision to life. So kudos. But Tom, I really think I'd like to move to maybe letting the audience ask you questions instead of me. Yeah.
Why don't we open it up? Because I think I'm here for you. I was just wanting to introduce these couple of things. Yeah, please. Do it. Let's go.
Also, Aram, one of the things we can do is open up a text channel for people who may not be able to join in the voice, so they can post questions in there that maybe we can just ask to Tom.
And in fact, I like that. I like that a lot, because then we can read through them and pick ones, combine and stuff. So how do I see that?
Cool. I'm going to set it up right now, and it'll be next to wherever we have the radio station. I'll put it right below that, and I'll call it, or I'll put it right above that. I'll call it radio chat.
Sweet. Thank you.
It'll be the server info.
In the meantime, I'm just going to bring up a couple of people who are asking questions.
Yeah, let's do it. Great. I see so many more. So again, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just added it now. So anybody who can't come on and just wants to have their question there for us to ask Tom, please feel free to add it to the text channel that I called radio chat. It's right above the radio station and office hours. You'll see it right there under server info, and you can post questions in there or come up to the stage and ask. And
I just want to really remind everyone, this is really the place to ask, if you because if you have more like conceptual questions, like let's try and protect this channel. Sorry, what channel? Try and keep these questions to this conversation and into other channels. And Ben, can you help me with this about?
Yeah, sure. So I was just saying, for anybody who may not be in the position to come on the microphone, whether they're in a room full of people or on a call or something like that, where they could just leave questions in there that we might be able to get to in the radio chat channel. Otherwise, come up on stage and ask Tom yourself.
Cool.
All right. So the order that we'll ask is, we'll start with Europa and back, then we'll go to Wyatt, and then 160 VC. So Europa and back, you're up. Hey, Martin.
Can't hear you. I think you're muted still. You're up and back. I still see your mute icon on. Can I unmute you? Martin, you got your mute button on.
Martin, are you able to unmute?
Okay, there he's off.
Testing. Can you hear us? We can't hear you, Martin. We're going to come back to you. So you maybe keep working on that.
Or type it into the channel, which by the way, I don't see the questions. Where do I look? I see the AMA with Tom radio station. I'm on an iPad. Does that matter?
So where if you look and you see where the radio station that we're in, like if you scroll to the top, you'll see server info, and then there's radio station. 2 above that will say radio chat. And I changed the permissions so everyone can go in there and start typing and asking.
All right. I'm struggling with. I'm so aware.
So Tom,
Don't worry,
Tom,
Tom, keep doing your thing. We'll handle the background stuff.
Yeah. We'll ask. Me and Ben can see the questions. We'll bring them to you.
Okay,
So
but I just think I want everyone to know that I'm struggling too. Okay.
That's right. Wyatt, we're gonna kick it to you until Martin figures out his audio situation.
Perfect. So my question stems from gas. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sort of worried that one person is going to be buying a ton of rocket parts and pay an absurd amount of gas, and all of our money is going to be wasted on gas that isn't going to, pay for the parts. So what can we expect for a cap on parts being bought? And is there a set amount of gas per each part that we can expect?
I'm gonna kind of kick in here because this is a little bit of a technical question. So Tom, you can jump into, but I think me and Maddie might take this one. So first,
but I'll say this is a huge source of frustration, and it's systemic, and it's larger than things that we can control. But we've made some meaningful steps to do everything possible, and Aram's going to outline a couple of meaningful ways, things that NFT studios have done, and we've done every step to make it as good as possible. But there are some limitations, and Aram's going to outline it for you.
So yeah, I mean, I will say, of course, we've tried to write as efficient and elegant code as possible. But at the end of the day, Wyatt and all who are like kind of new to the crypto space, as me and Charlie and Tom were, we had a lot to learn about gas as well. And I mean, bottom line, I gotta say, we really don't have ultimate control. That's kind of like the good and the bad of the blockchain. Like the good being that it's decentralized, that no one person has authority or power over regulating and dictating pricing. And then the bad being, because we can't regulate or dictate the prices, it all depends on the traffic that day, which is entirely out of our hands. I think that there are, maybe Maddie, you could help guide people towards tools that they could use to try and check what gas prices for that day will look like. We will also, Wyatt, we hear you and some of the others who are like new to the space and really trying to figure this out. We will in the coming days post some follow-ups on Medium to help guide you. But it sucks that I can't give you a definitive answer, but I think that doing so would be misguided of me. And Matt, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, I would just add a couple things. One, in the support channel, it seems like there's a lot of good content being written. So really appreciate everything that people are posting. Like Aram said, we're going to be posting some very targeted content in the coming days to help everybody who's newer to the space navigate their way through. We're going to be very cognizant of when we're releasing the project so that it's not being released in tandem with any other major projects that would increase gas artificially for people that are trying to buy into this project. On Friday, we did release the patch, and there was another project that was getting released at a similar time. The patch is not, you can mint the patch up until this coming Thursday. So we were, and there's really no benefit to minting it earlier than later. Some people were really focused on getting a lower serial number, and so they artificially raised their gas in order to get those. And that's why you'll see that some people might have paid a lot of gas on Friday. But if you could have just waited until, and I understand that there was some, the people got excited and, maybe some people didn't understand that they could have waited and they didn't really necessarily read the article or anything like that. They just got excited and did it right away. But, you could have waited until the right moment and just minted it at the right time where gas wasn't super high. But we are going to be very cognizant for the actual drop that, we're not doing anything, at the same time as any other major project that would, affect gas in that way. And then in terms of like a cap on the number of components, there will be a cap, and I think the community will be very happy and pleased with what we come up with to kind of ensure that the project gets into the greatest number of wallets that it possibly can, and we can avoid people doing exactly what you said, just buying a ton of parts and paying a lot of gas for it. So I would just say stay tuned for more detail on that, and just maybe just put some trust in us that we have it under control, and we're going to do our best to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible. But as Aaron said, at the end of the day, there are some things that are out of our control, and to some extent, there will always be some element of this dynamic there. But we are doing everything we can to make it as fair as possible and to give people a really good shot of getting a part. So just stay tuned for more details on that.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this project come to life. So great job, everyone.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for your question. But I just want to reiterate, like, if you don't have your patch yet, do it at a weird time. It could cost you $1 in gas. I think I paid. What did you pay?
$5.
Yeah, I got all panicky. I paid 26.
But we were also testing to see how much longer it took.
But it took a while, and I saw some guy paid 666 or something like that.
Exactly.
But he didn't read the article. And please, for fuck's sake, read the article. I spent so much time editing that, omitting unnecessary words. Charlie and Aaron and Matt, Maddie, we all like obsessed over that thing so much. Like, I've been told that in this community that this is a particularly well written paper. I don't know. I haven't read any other ones, but is it as good as I think it is? Am I just fluffing myself?
Well, Tom, like I told you when we first started speaking, to me it read like a story, and I love that because it wasn't your typical white paper roadmap. It was more about showing yourselves, your passion, and your personalities, and why you chose to make this project as art instead of just being another face in the crowd. So, I love that. I really appreciate that. And that was one of the main things that made me feel so passionate about this project.
And thank you. That's so great to hear because, Benjamin has like lots of opportunities and chose us because he believed in it. So read the fucking paper.
A great advice. I will say it was harder than writing my thesis, and that involved having to talk about Foucault. So definitely, please read it. 160 VC.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks for taking the question. So I have kind of a question about the shared values that you guys talked about a bit before. So I'm also a new immigrant into the crypto community, and one thing I've learned is that speculation and reselling is such a big part of the NFT world, or at least that's the sense that I got. And Tom, I also know you as the artist who writes on the box of shoes that shoes are only valid if they're worn.
Yeah.
And I just was wondering how you see those two things come together.
Well, I think there are a lot of contradictions in the studio. I don't know how in touch we all are with the contradictions in our lives. I think that's why our dreamscape is so important because it kind of makes sense of the nonsense. I hate it when people resell my meat space art for money. It's like they're saying this thing that you bled over is worth less than money, which has some abstract value. It's kind of worthless except that we all agree on it, and then it's everything to all of us. It's the universal power exchange. But I think the thing that I like about this project is the opportunity to exchange and to trade and to swap parts and assemble your dream rocket that only you can create. 115,000 plus possible permutations is a lot, especially out of 3,000 parts. But I gotta say, like, the meat space aspect that we are launching rockets in space and that people are involved is a way, and there's some other ways that I can't disclose yet, but are coming, of engaging community and making it so that we can all be part of it. Yeah, please.
I would add to this too, because, I think that's a really, really great question. And it's a question that I feel like we actually spend a lot of time with. And I'll go back to the shoes, right? So the purpose of the shoes is that they should be worn, and you shouldn't just put them in the top of your closet collecting dust. With this project, the purpose is to buy, resell, trade, to use the blockchain, because it's about illuminating larger centralized forms of power, banking, things that a future where we have something that, like the blockchain, hopefully challenges. And I think that those kinds of values and that kind of illuminating power structures has been at the core of what Tom and the studio have kind of done for 3 decades. So in that way, as much as it feels like a contradiction, it's also quite like much in sync with how the studio thinks about kind of some of these more bigger conceptual values.
I think that's great. Like, the shoe comparison is really good. Like, the way to do the shoe wrong is to put it in your closet and let it collect dust and sell it on StockX. That's like for posers. That's like missing the point. The right way is to rock them and wear them to death and wreck them and fix them and wreck them and fix them until they just disintegrate. Like, the wrong way to do the rocket project would be to get a bunch of parts somehow using money and hoard them. The right way would be to get a bunch of parts and combine them, make your dream rocket, launch it, smell the sulfur, and collect the meat space rocket and rock it as a sculpture in your house. So I can't control everything. That's not my job. My job is creating worlds so that people can access them and participate. That's what we do. We create possibilities for community and participate in it. We don't like control everything. This isn't a dictatorship, as much as I would like it to be. More like an Apple, kind of like Steve Jobs dictatorship. It's more about just creating a framework and that people can get involved and learn from our values.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you so much for the great answer, and I'm going to try my best to get involved and get enough parts together for a rocket.
Awesome. I love that question. It was beautiful. So thank you for asking.
And could I have a follow-up to that?
Yeah.
We had a Twitter Spaces with Benjamin where kind of a similar conversation came up, and there was somebody who said, it's possible that I'll go on this quest with you all, but I might get a piece and I might never be able to put a rocket together, and at some point I'm gonna maybe sell my piece and I'm gonna have to bow out of the quest. And there was like some disappointment from the person saying that and being like, would Tom be disappointed in me if I didn't get to the point where I like made a whole rocket? And I thought, Charlie, you kind of had some really great insight in that moment about what it means to be on that quest and that journey. And even if you bow out, your evidence that you participated will be on the blockchain for all of eternity. or, until much longer than any of us are probably around. And I think that that's kind of like that evidence of you were there will never be taken away from you. So you were part of that quest, even if you didn't complete the whole rocket. I just want to put that out there, because, Tom, you emphasize the rocket, but it's no less.
Yeah, you're always part of the blockchain. You're part of the history if you got involved. Also, make a consortium with your friends. Get 3 people together and 3 people that you trust, and make a rocket together and launch it together, and possess it together, sell it together if you want to. Like, be part of it together. And I think get a little cell of 3 people together. You'll be able to do it. It'll happen because you guys are in here from the beginning. I mean, if this grows, it might get crazy in the future, but the beginning is when it's gonna be easiest for sure. And the other thing is, on a more philosophical level, that might happen. You might get priced out and you might not be able to participate, but now's not the time to think about that. Dream big. Don't start thinking about what's likely to happen. Don't think about what's probable. Think about what's possible. That's how you expand your experience in this short life. Like when I was in architecture school, my professor said, Tom, don't think about what's practical. Think about what's possible. In other words, don't think about what you can build with your own means. Think about what you can build with your imagination and expand it and have an unlimited ceiling. I was having a conversation today about moving where I lived, and I was thinking about what I could afford to do. No, I want to think about what I could do someday, and have that imagination in my mind. And then maybe an opportunity will open itself. But if you're not open to those possibilities, the opportunity will not open itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it another try. Now it works. Can you hear me? Perfect.
All right, Mart.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Charlie. Hi,
Hey.
team. Hi, everyone. So actually, Wyatt and Matthijs asked the 2 questions that I wanted to ask. So yes, they were great. But I've got one more more general thing. So I can live. I learned to live and love the contradictions that you see everywhere in the studio, right? And Matthijs' question was directed in the distinction between the shoes that you're supposed to wear and the coins that you're supposed to trade, and not only collect, and also make money off of it. And now money being a little bit important. This is, I mean, I don't understand it all yet, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
I've read the white paper a good 5-6 times, and I haven't understood all of it. But I also don't get a lot of left. I've written a lot about the project in the last couple of days on my Instagram, and I don't get a lot of love, to be honest. There's people who are very skeptical from the meat space, from the people who are in the workshop, the nerds. There are a lot of skeptical people, and I personally really believe in it because I believe that NFTs they're a good thing for artists. Even though there's a lot of stuff around that to me looks a bit like scalping and looks a bit like pay to play, where the only people who win are basically the developers and the people with bottomless pockets. But I want to know where do you see this going? What's your vision on that? I mean, the project is perfect, right? I haven't seen from all the different NFT projects I've looked at, this is one that clearly stands out by how different it is and how nicely it ties itself together into something that's really an art project, right? How do you see this going? Where do you see this evolving into? What do you see this evolving into?
Well, first, I want to say I shared this skepticism for many, many months until I started to believe, and it was a process. So I think that if people are skeptical in the meat space, on one level, they're kind of, I relate because I've been there. But it's always just about education and understanding and learning about, like, you Martin, and I know that you're really dedicated to the values of the studio. Like, you still don't understand it, and like even me, there are a couple of little things that I don't understand, and poor Aram and Charlie and Matt and Leandro and Noel have to keep explaining stuff to me because it's new. So I would say, like, just remember, people were probably really scared when they had to give up their gold coins in exchange for paper, and they were a little scared when they gave up their paper money in exchange for their credit card, and they got a little weird when it was all on their phone, but they liked how convenient it was, so they kind of learned to live with it. That's what happened every time, and I think this is no different. It's just we're really new. This is really the beginning. I mean, this is like a whole trendy bullshit thing, but this is the beginning of it. It's getting more and more integrated, and I think projects like this one that have a meat space component have the potential to help it cross over into an easier way of people to understand it, because everyone can understand something that exists in physical space easier than digital space. But to answer your question, I would like this to work so that we can continue in this space. This is where it's all headed. I'm a very clear vision. I'm not like a huge sci-fi guy. I'm kind of like a medium sci-fi guy, but it's clear that there's a lot of good reasons for this, and the main one for me is the transparency and disrupting the racist, patriarchal banking industry and taking it out of the hands of a bunch of few old dead rich white guys and making it accessible to everyone. So I think the more we can do projects in this space, the best way to support something you believe in is to participate in it. And like, I'm not a banker, I'm an artist, so I'm going to find a way to engage in this community in a way that's authentic to me. And if we all do that, then it'll work. I mean, I don't know. We probably all have a friend who got paid for a dinner that he paid for 10 years ago, a pizza dinner, and he got paid in a couple of Bitcoins,
Right.
but lost the password or something. Like, you've all heard that story, right? You'd have like $120,000 or whatever for that
Right,
one pizza
more,
dinner.
yeah.
That he paid. Like, we all know
Millions.
someone who that happened to. Someone who had $20,000 in Bitcoin when it was $70, and got out and said, "Oh, I'm going to get out when I reach $20,000." Right? Now that person would be a billionaire. So I don't know. But to answer your question, where I would like to go personally involving the studio, I would like this project to work so people like it and I like it and it was fun, and do another project. I have ideas. We'll see. Stay tuned. Let's get through this project first. Let's see if it works. Let's just see if it still feels authentic after a bunch of months. I expect it will. Our team's unbelievable. I mean, it's just like, I feel like I've got like a new family, and it's all over the world. With the NFT studio, you guys just like, I'm just super psyched to meet y'all this summer, in person. Yeah.
So just add in,
Yeah.
I think when something is new, and I know I felt like this at first, it can feel like maybe it's like controlled by a group of elites. But then I kind of remember I work in the art world, and yes, anyone can go to a museum or a gallery, but there are just a select group of people who potentially own that art. So I think that like gatekeeping exists in some ways even more in like our plywood reality, or as much in the plywood reality as anywhere else.
Yeah, I
So I
agree.
think, right. So I think it's really easy to kind of put that on like, well, it's just going to be all the developers who get it. But just remember that, there was once a time that you might have felt like that about something else. I know I have. And
Aram, if I could just piggyback on that, I want to talk about that real quick because
Yeah.
I had never really collected anything physical before coming into this space. Anything physical, anything art, paintings, none of it really. Like I always was interested in it, but never collected. And I think this kind of space really helps with the decentralization and distribution of these types of projects and got me interested in more things that I would have probably never done in real life. I wouldn't travel around to go look for a museum to find a piece of art to buy, but I can do it here pretty easily, and it's putting me in a position where I can support artists, and if I can make money from them to help support other artists, then it keeps the circle going. So yeah, you might have people who are more experienced be able to get more or afford more, but like Aaron was saying, there's a lot more gatekeeping in the physical art world than I would say you have here. So just be very in tune with that, and this space is opening up a lot of creativity and a lot of production from people who may not have been able to do it or may not have been able to collect it in the past. So now you're a part of that.
Ben, that's such a good point. And I think, Tom, that was a really important point for you too. It's like your part of the white paper is almost kind of dedicated to that, this idea of who gets to consecrate you as an artist, right?
And one of the things that I'm totally dedicated to in my life is making elite shit available for everyone while still keeping it cool. I spent so many years,
that.
And that's a hard thing. Like I have a friend who had a magazine called Black Book, and Black Book was a thing in the 60s where you kept your Black Book for London, which was like restaurants, secret clubs, girls' phone numbers, whatever. It was secret. It was a black book. And so there was a magazine called Black Book that sought to expose and make everyone feel included. And he said, "What's your favorite restaurant?" And I didn't want to tell him my favorite restaurant because I didn't want it to be exposed. So I said I said I'm not going to tell you what my second favorite restaurant is because I don't want everyone to know. So I told him what my favorite restaurant is, which is McDonald's, of course. And of course, he was really frustrated that he didn't get what he was looking for. But basically, the reason I didn't do it was because I didn't feel right about sharing that information and without any guidelines around it. And we are really dedicated to breaking down the elitism of the art world. Like, for example, one of the posts, I just made a post on Instagram that we're going to be working on more, which is when an art gallery has an art opening, it's free to the public and everyone's welcome. When a museum has an opening or a show, and also admission to art galleries is always free. Admission to museums, often there's pay, but there's almost always a free night. But that information isn't out there. I think that there are these rules, these guidelines, these barriers that are constructed. I don't think it's a great conspiracy. It's just how the whole thing evolved. But it's real. So many people said, "Hey, can I get tickets to go see your art show at Aquavella Gallery?" And I always say it's always open and free. So we're always working on communications around that. It's no different in this space. We are working tirelessly to make access to this community open and free. Now, of course, we have this conversation about gas fees and money and stuff, but there are other ways to get involved. I think that, as you know, there are so many people with our sculpture or the sneakers who weren't able to get involved in the straightforward way, but have created community around it. Like Martin, you're one of them, and it's just about dedication.
Can you tell us something about the rockets, the physical rockets, when they are when you actually build them? And then I'm going to shut up and let someone else ask. When you build the rockets, how many do you actually think of the 1,000 that are possible? How many actually do you think you're going to build in the end? And tell us something about like your plans on how it's actually gonna work to launch them all over the globe, and if we can get involved in some way.
So I want to be a little secretive on this to make it more fun.
Okay.
But I will say this: there is a big question: how many will be launched, and we have had a pool. But I think the question that no one's asking is like, over how much time?
Right.
Like infinity time?
Oh, can
You
I
know?
get in on that pool, please?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start it right here and now. I don't know. Do you want to say like a year, 5 years, a month? Like, I think I want to say something like 2 years. I don't know. I think that's the big. What do we think? How many years? Type it into the box. Let's do a poll right now for like. But like, so that's question number is like over how much time? How many months? 24, 50 months. And then I would pick a number I could guess, because I think it's not going to be perfect. Some idiot's going to get a part and lose it in their drawer, like everyone losing crypto. Other people are going to hoard. Those are the equivalent of posers. I've told every one of my friends, if you're going to get involved in this, and everyone, this is the truth. Everyone in the studio, there is an understanding within our community, our core community, that this is not a hoarding project. This is an activating project. And there are some secrets that I cannot reveal, but there will be some more meaningful rewards to the people who launch, versus the people who don't. And things that are authentic to the way we do things around here. So, and then the goal is to do launches in US and Europe, very soon, immediately upon this happening. We're very excited about that. But we'll follow up with launches in Asia. Oh, am I not allowed to say? Is that?
Well, we are going to have launches all over the world. It's kind of where I was going to say, let's leave it. And that we are literally working on a follow-up Medium article that's going to be called Road to Launch. It'll probably be the article that's the longest after the white paper itself. We'll have some other little short ones like we did for the patch. Anytime we do something, we'll make sure we put our voices to it so you can really read our intention. So cool. Hang tight.
I
Road
have
to
a quick
launch.
follow-up to that too, about the quote unquote hoarding, I guess, like it or having multiple. So like what would be the case if I want to buy one of the rockets for my wife as well? So I want us both to be able to have one and have a video and have the rocket potentially. Will we have the option to say we want them both to be launched at the same time, or is it kind of just going to be randomized in a way? Like, have you guys thought about the procedure with that?
We have, and I think that's such a yes, Ben. I think you're speaking the questions that the community is asking. So you're really doing your job as our moderator for them. That is exactly the kind of question that's going to be answered in Road to Launch.
Yeah,
awesome.
So that's coming out very soon.
Love it.
Martin, thank you as always for your questions and your time. I'm gonna move it next to BD Concepts.
Thank you. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, BD Concepts, what's up?
So I want to first say this has been kind of cool because it's kind of forced me into this crypto NFT that I didn't expect myself to do, and I'm really happy to hear that I didn't pay in a crazy amount in gas because I didn't know that fluctuated. So I'm glad that worked out for me. But my question is your creative process. When you're going from whether it's the shoes or your sculptures or any other projects. Now this is such a whole different realm. You guys talked about having to learn so much about it, but what about the creativity behind the actual art? Did you have to do anything different than you expected, or was it kind of like a seamless transition from something physical to, okay, here we are in the digital world?
I'm not sure what you mean about the parts, like the how the parts, like the brands or the styles of the parts.
Just the actual concept of making the art like a digital form as opposed to something physical. I know you have a physical component. I'm just wondering if you guys had any, and maybe that's why you included the physical component, because you're more familiar with that. That's why you guys went that route. I'm just curious about the actual creative decisions and the process of entering into this, this arena.
Yeah, I think, again, I said it before, I'm going to try and say it again, but I think when I discovered the attribute search function on the CryptoPunks marketplace, I was really taken by, and I think the word I use is four-dimensionality, because it's something that it's a way of perceiving information that you can only use on computer. And I've been using iPad and drawing and Procreate, and it's all about layers. And I was like, I'm always trying to build a finished drawing, a finished product, but I realized the art of an application like Procreate or Photoshop is that it exists in layers, and the only way to view it in those layers is through clicking through layers, and that's something that really only exists by using the computer, and the NFT space really works for that. You can show a layered drawing. I think probably some project that I'll come up with later eventually in an NFT space would be an iPad drawing that shows all my layers and processes, but not in some way to expose exactly how I build it, but to convey more information. So I think that's something that I'll definitely, I've been working on for years, and I'll probably on my iPad just as how I draw, but I think there'll be a way to bring that into this NFT place as a way of distributing it, because I don't really there's no better way of showing it. So the thing about this space is that a lot of people are making NFTs of things that exist in meat space, and I don't think that's really taking advantage of the power that this tool has. The power that this has, that I see, is two ways. One is the concept of layers in Photoshop, of showing different drawing that can exist in those dimensions, and the other is the attribute sort. It's fantastic to be able to see the same concept represented. If we've got 30 permutations, 30 different brands, but with 1,000 rockets, you get 115,000 different combinations. There's no other way to organize that. You'd have to have 115,000 index cards, and computer sort of is a digital model of a stack of cards. That's how computers started. Well, like the Jacquard card in Fabrics, or the IBM punch cards that the Nazis used, or whatever. But it's just a better, more reasonable way of managing all that information. So I think this has been really honest use of this process, and I think that's why it took so long. I've been working on this for months, and it was frustrating in the beginning because I didn't really understand how to make it authentic, and I will never ever let anything out of the studio that isn't authentic, ever.
Yeah, I will say real quickly, I thought it was cool because you talked about how you've been working through this for months, that, I follow you on Twitter, and I remember you posting months ago, hey, tell me about this NFT, crowdsourcing the information out there, tell me what you like, what are good ones. So it's kind of cool to see that this all came to fruition for you guys.
Yeah, and there's a few, I really love Zen Bonsai NFT. That's one of my favorites because I love bonsai, but also the sorting through the different pets. I own a few. And by the way, Zen Bonsai, I highly recommend, because even now, even though it's been out for months, they're you can get a Zen Bonsai for $106. And it's and I would search in OpenSea by buy it now, low to high, and search it. Look through the whole thing. Look at the expensive ones. I think some of the best ones are the low ones. And I don't care about anyone's opinion than my own. I don't care how much it's worth. I just think it's a cool little piece of digital art, and that it exists this way. There's no other way. You couldn't, if you printed it out, it wouldn't be good.
And that's the best thing about this whole concept, is that the aesthetics and the rarities can provide different value to different people. When you search on rarity tools and you try to look at traits, or you look at the price, it doesn't always have to be what other people are spending a lot of money on is what you would like most. So, searching through these collections and being able to find what resonates with you is what's most important. And if buying the cheapest isn't always what's best for you in the long run, because buying something now that may be a little more expensive than what the cheapest is, but it's because you like it. Maybe someone in the future will buy it from you for a lot more, or you just hold it because you love it. And so that's the way that I like to approach this: is get what you like, and the rest will kind of work itself out.
Benjamin, I love that so much because I always it's funny when I moved to New York, I always thought I would have interesting conversations about art. But I realized that everyone only just wants to talk about money when they never want to talk about like formal structure or negative space or interesting issues in sculpture. And I always say the same thing when they ask, like, art's a terrible investment. The worst. You should only buy stuff that you love, because what if you got stuck with it? And then if you just buy things that you like, whether it's a little money or more than you can afford or whatever, just don't get things just because you think they're going to be worth something. Get it because you love it. And when you sell it, it should sting. You should always feel like you could have gotten more.
Yeah, I love that. I put out a post yesterday with like quick NFT tips, and the first thing I said is buy what you love, not what they love.
Yeah, word.
And I think just Tom, Ben, you're making also another important point, which is those of you who are new, who are coming into this space, before we did anything in this space, we went out and we looked at other things that we love in the space and started our collections, because to kind of go back to that conversation earlier about how this is a space where people who've never been able to collect art before can collect art, and artists are able to consecrate themselves without a gallery signing off on it. There's lots of projects and communities out there, and for those of you who are new to the crypto space, I highly encourage you to go out there and explore. It'll help you have a more authentic relationship to this space than just one of my favorite artists is doing this, because I think it's really important to love the space altogether. And I think that's what we had to do before, we immigrated fully over into the crypto community.
Yeah, definitely. Still looking. I bought some pills the other day. Charlie got his first NFT. He got a pill. I got one too.
I did.
Maddie's got a lot of pills.
Something to BD Concepts though about he asked about the process, and like I always think for this project it's like the same process, I would say, as like anything, right? Like the same dedication and everything like that, like for like a space program, versus like a movie versus anything that Tom does, it's like it applies the same, like kind of the same foundation as like ISRU and all of the things that we teach. So I think like it's just felt like incredibly authentic to Tom's practice, and like the hardest part is that it's just this new space. But that's also like, we came in and we had to invent a bunch of stuff, which is always the case with Tom's work. Is that accurate, Tom? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so, except that it's not what Tom does, it's what we do, Charlie.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like
Yeah.
like calling up NFT studios feels the same as like calling up JPL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except I think the guys at NFT studios are smarter than the guys at JPL. It's like we expand the studio. We grow it. We authentically, and I feel like NFT Studios is part of us now. I don't know if they're still on. I think they dropped off, but
yeah, they're in a time zone where they had to drop off, but big shout out to them again. And I would encourage you to go read up on them and their other projects. Leandro and Noel, they are kind of like real like been in this space, old school, like committed to it long before a lot of us have come through.
But I would say that I think one of the reasons why we get along really well is because a lot of our pre-existing values were the same. And as we learn more about the space, they become our teachers and we expand our values. So the people that come into our community help grow it and help the people that we collaborate with. We influence them, they influence us. It's like teaching
Totally.
teaching is learning and learning is teaching.
100%. And for those of you who come to our exhibitions, you'll start seeing some of those new faces around that are becoming a part of this community as well. Thank you, BD Concepts. I'm going to call on Jacob next, and then BUJW right after.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for hosting this team. I'm really excited to get into this space with you all. My brother and I are determined to build and launch a Franken rocket. We wanted to know like where the video will be hosted. I know you said it's like the video will be hosted on the blockchain, but will like I be able to point like a website to it, or how will we be able to like watch it?
Well,
And will
so
you be launching? I'm sorry. And then will you be like launching kind of all over the US? Question.
Well, so where and when, stay tuned.
Okay, that's the surprise.
Yeah, but soon. You won't have to wait that long.
Sure.
The video of the launch, which is a very short clip. It's not a video of the launch and the recovery and everything. But the launch sort of like it's almost like a receipt that the thing went off the ground, that where the rocket scars the launch pad with a burned black dot, is part of the NFT. It's in the metadata, so you'll be able to look at it on the NFT. How do you do that on? Does that mean that you can also look at it on OpenSea? I think so. I'm not sure how that works.
Okay, if I wanted to just like put that as a clip on my website portfolio.
Definitely do. Absolutely.
Because I've been doing that with like all my wear tester stuff too.
I think you can. I mean, I don't know, Aaron. Church,
Yeah,
I think that's how that works, right? You can.
Can I like download it or take like a screen recording?
Yeah.
Definitely that at least. It'll be stored as like a link in the metadata of the NFT, and you'll definitely be able to view it on the marketplace on the website.
Okay,
where exactly we're hosting the video, we'll have to confirm it, but I'm sure you'd be able to point to it.
Okay, cool. That was the like underlying question. Is it going to be hosted on like a platform that I can link to? Because
definitely.
So
Jacob, on my website.
Jacob, this is exactly the kind of nitty gritty detail that will definitely be in the Road to Launch Medium article.
Awesome! I'm so excited. Thank you all.
Thank you for the soap.
Yeah, super psyched. Oh wait, I got a question for Jacob.
Did you get my letter?
Oh, did I get?
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I think I did. Wait, the letter with the zine.
The letter with the stamp.
With the stamp.
Yeah, one for you, Aram, and Ava. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail your question.
No, wait. When did you send that?
I left them at the art gallery on the 11th.
I think we're going to get them tomorrow because I know all of your guys' art is being picked up then. So
okay, cool.
Stay tuned for a response.
Yeah, we'll check. But thank you. And by the way, thank you all. I know Josh is coming up next question, but and Jacob, thank you. Thank you all for participating in the Wear Tester show. Today's the last day. So if anyone's in Manhattan, come see it.
Up with me a couple weekends ago.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I have a question for you, Jacob.
Yes.
Why do you want a Franken rocket and not a perfect rocket?
I feel like a perfect rocket would be a little bit harder to attain, and I want the aesthetic of a Franken rocket so that I can build on it if I were to receive it in post recovery, to build a little bit more of a sculpture with it, if I get it. I think it'd be cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for your answer. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I was excited to see that there was a possibility that you called him Frank. So that was
Yeah. No, we're into it too. I'm just like always want to hear people's like responses, because I think what's important to a project like this is that some people are going to want Frankens, other people want perfects, and that it means different things to different people. That's what art is.
Well, I like your Rockets zine so much. Like, I like those kind of Frank. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining, but like a more reliable rocket shape frame.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Cool.
Thank you. I love rockets
Sculpture.
too. Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
See, I like they're really hard to attain, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm aiming for the perfect rocket.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm going.
It'd be so hard to attain that.
Yeah, I'm going, but that's me. I always like S class, but I think it's good that it's something in there for everyone. That's
right.
That's
Charlie disagrees with us, so
yeah,
it's
Charlie is full Franken, but Aram and I are more perfect in our design.
All right. Thank you, Jacob. Josh, BUJW, you're up next.
Thanks. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Josh, what's up?
Everything's good. So first of all, Tom, Aram, really appreciate this session today. I think this probably will release a lot of kind of pressure that's built up in the uncertainty side of things. So really appreciate this call. This question may be more for Benjamin, but you guys can answer it, and it may be answered in the article coming up. With the really critical limited nature, the apes is like 10,000 releases, and I 100% understand the man hours that it's going to take for 1,000 rockets. But with that built-in number, especially with the 3 components being combined down into one physical minted rocket, I think my biggest problem is just straight up FOMO. I mean, it's fear of missing out. I know that I cannot afford an entire rocket. What am I going to lose some exclusivity by selling? Like, what is my token to be part of the community? Community has been so important in wear testing. Those of us who are sort of the rocket version of self-selected, how are we going to be able to participate if we have to divest of a piece? And I guess maybe the same question, if I go in with 2 people, if we buddy up and 3 of us on one component, how does that gonna work? I don't want to lose the community, but I do want to play in the space. Can you assuage our fears on that?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. And the first thing I'll say is you're already a part of this community. Just being here and asking the question and being in this chat, you're already part of the community. So the first thing I would say is make sure you claim that patch, the Tom Sachs patch that they released. That's going to be free. You might have to pay a few dollars in gas, but get that right off the bat. That makes you more a part of the community. Now, regarding the project, the way that I like to look at things, and early on, I had less money to invest in these projects than I do now, right? And so the way that I was able to leverage my positions and get in a position to invest more and collect more is by doing things like flipping. And so flipping isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's typically good for an ecosystem. But if you buy one of the blind mints and you really can only get one, right? One of the things that you can do is you can get, if you get lucky with a rare one, you can sell that. So essentially you're flipping it, but you can sell that. And then if it's enough to buy you 3 maybe more common components, I would say that's, the first approach that I would look at. One of the other things that you could do that you referenced is joining up with other people. And within cryptos and NFT, people use a lot of different wallets. But one of the things that people may not know about is called a multi-signature wallet. So this means that you can have one sourced wallet with multiple people that you all connect your wallets to. And so let's say me, you, Charlie, and Maddie decided to go in on this. We can have a multi-signature wallet where each of us put our connect our wallets to it, and you can have it so you need a minimum of 2 or 3 people to sign off on it. And so you can have crypto sent to this wallet and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure how the NFT aspect of it works yet, but that's definitely something we should look into. But if you wanted to share a wallet, so you have the proceeds together, you all kind of put your money in together and you make decisions together. I think that's a good way to approach things early on if you're just getting into it, and then you kind of have your own little sub community of people that you trust, that if the money starts growing in terms of whether, Ethereum rises in price, or you're able to sell an NFT, and then you can really work together and figure out how else you can support other collections and projects and artists. And so there's a few different ways to go about it, whether you have a certain amount of budget. So I appreciate the question. I hope those answers helped you get started. There's a lot more ways to approach this, but those would be, I think, the beginner steps.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I would only add a couple things to that. I would just say stay tuned for some of the articles that come out over the course of this week. The patch on Friday was just one great example of how you can be involved in a very low cost way. There's going to be more information about the benefits of owning, a patch or a component or a rocket coming out. And then there's also going to be some really cool things that we're looking to do in the metaverse as well, where you can kind of dip your toes and be involved there too in a low cost way as well. So I would say just, keep your eye out for all these different things that we're going to be coming out with, because there's going to be a lot of ways that you can be involved in the community outside of just, owning a rocket part or owning a rocket. But I also think Ben gave a lot of great ways that you can leverage different strategies to do that as well too.
I just got a huge boner hearing about the concept of the multi-signature wallet, and I wanted to share that with everyone. Because, this is a way, Josh and everyone listening, like if you have anxiety about not being able to participate, and of course, Benjamin, I think you got to shoot for the stars and like claim a super rare thing and flip it and get more parts, whatever. But even within that, a multi-signature wallet is a way for you and your friends to have your own base program. Like it's a hack, it's a workaround. And what's so fantastic about this space is that there's so many ways of approaching it. And again, I don't know the details and constraints of a multi-signature wallet, but whether it's an actual multi-signature wallet or you just do it based on trust or a contract or whatever, there's a way. And that's how you can, like, it's just about organizing. I mean, it took me 30 years to build my own space program. I think you guys can do it in a week.
Very good. Thanks for, again, taking the time. Like I said, I think this call was super important and probably will release a lot of the pressure that's kind of built up in the system. And it's coming purely out of ignorance and love of the community that came out of the wear testing.
Yeah, I feel that, Josh, and I appreciate your enthusiasm and passion for all the wear testing and ISRU and the Rocket Factory. I think I wanted to ask Benjamin about channel guidelines, because I think that there'll probably be other questions that come up, and like there's nothing more destabilizing than uncertainty, and this project, all the information isn't out yet, and that's like makes people feel insecure and upset, and I understand because I'm the same way. Do you have any ideas about like how we can organize? So I don't know exactly how to say it, but like some information's in one channel and other information's in another, so we can be productive.
Yeah, the limitations on that is, we put up a frequently asked questions the other day, and there was maybe only 4 or 5, and it took up a lot of space. So I'm thinking maybe if we put a section on the website where we just kind of collected those questions and answers, and so we can link to that, and then whenever anybody asks about it, we can post. We can also set up a custom command with a bot that has preset questions and answers. So when someone types in like exclamation point FAQ, it lists everything for them, and so other people in the community can direct people to that.
Cool, great. I think let's keep working that as we go, because I think that as this project develops, the more we keep technical things to one pile and emotional things to another.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think a good place that Ben has created for that is just like in the support section. You can, I'm hoping some of the uncertainty has been resolved around like the why are we doing this, which I've been seeing a lot in the support channel. So hopefully this helps those of you who've followed the studio for a while understand better the why. And that we kind of start to see in like ground control channel and stuff, more discussion around the project and the white paper and how the studio's vision comes to life there.
Can I also throw in one thing? And again, you guys have 20 plus people in the studio, plus everybody that you've added. There are some of us that are sort of on the fringes of this that would also probably love to participate on the other side of the equation. Maybe I'm not in a position to collect, but if there's a way to participate and help sort of studio adjacent, there may be some roles there that some of us would really appreciate, without stepping too far into what you guys do. Some of us might enjoy the participation side even more than the speculation side. So just something to think about.
Well, yeah, we always want people involved, and I think that's why we do shows like Where Tester and projects like that. There's no free labor. We pay our interns, and the commitment that someone makes to the studio is matched by the commitment that the studio makes to them. So we're very, very careful about how to do that, because it's like 20 is all we can really manage, and it's hard. But we're always looking. One way that you can help right now is by helping share the information that you know, and being careful if you don't know about something to just do research, dig around, read through that white paper. There's a lot of information there. Don't look to destabilize the things that we're building. Work to take a step back and read and be careful and thoughtful and contribute that way. But I hear what you're saying about getting involved in meet space, and we're always looking to find ways to do that.
Well, and I'm just going to go back to what Benjamin said. Just being on this Discord makes you an active part of this community and a participant in what we do. We couldn't do it without all of you tuning in, listening in, and staying engaged. Be that in the digital space through something like Discord, or for those of you who know about our exhibitions, showing up to a gallery exhibition or a museum exhibition and being there, seeing the sculpture, being stoked on it, that makes you just as much a part of it as someone on the studio team who was paid to help make it. So I would also say just think about engagement that way, and that at the studio, we try not to make a hierarchy of, those of us on the team somehow being a better part of the community than those who come and engage. In a lot of ways, our jobs don't mean anything if it isn't for all of you showing up and supporting us.
Yeah, word. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Absolutely. Perfect, guys. Thanks. Have a great week. I'm sure it's going to be crazy for the next couple.
Thanks, Josh. So I know that we still have a lot of questions, but we're kind of coming to the end of our time. Maddie, Ben, I just wanted to make sure, did you feel like there are any questions in the chat that maybe haven't been addressed, and we could take a moment to address those? Otherwise, we would turn it over to Tom to kind of close us out here. And I'm so sorry to those of you who've had your hands up and didn't get to ask your questions. Please continue to stay engaged and ask your questions in the support channel. And Ben and his amazing team of moderators who work alongside of him and Maddie will be sure to answer, as will myself, Charlie, and Tom, who is always reading and always texting the rest of us some good responses.
Yeah, so there's a few questions in here in the radio chat that I think are interesting. One of them, I think, is a question that a lot of people are going to have, especially pre-NFT Tom Sachs fans. So the question was by HUW, and is there a non-investment sort of participation possible with this project? Is there a way that the system of rocket parts can be accessed or affected by people not actually paying for the parts and gas fees? For this, I would say that the way that you can get involved is, first of all, find out when and where the launches are going to be. If you're anywhere close, you might as well get there because it's going to be an event. It's going to be fun. Tom's going to be there. So that's the first thing that I would say. Just be there to be involved in the launch itself. But when it comes to parts, look around, because on Twitter, there's always people doing giveaways. And you'll see that, there are going to be people who buy a bunch of them who may do a giveaway of these, because people will do giveaways of, Bored Apes. Even though they're thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think that if you keep an eye out, you'll see that happening, at least getting a component here or there. One of the things that I recommend people doing, and this is a strategy early on with apes, that I helped a lot of people get apes early on. And I would say leverage your skills, your talents, and your abilities and your passion. And if there's something that you like to do that provides value, you can provide value for somebody that may either give you enough money to purchase one, or give you theirs, or you do work for them and they'll support you in another way. And so an example of that is someone I found early on in NFTs. His name is Nicky Fajan. He is a photographer, and he was trying to find out how to get into apes. And at this time, I think they were a couple $1,000s, and he didn't have the money to afford it. So he ended up doing a custom piece for a buddy of mine, Preps to the Pros. And so they swapped, and Nicky was able to get an ape for his piece that he made custom, one of one. And I thought it was, a really good symbiotic relationship. So that's the primary way I would say to try and get involved outside of giveaways.
Ben, I love that. And anyone who's listening now, don't forget, you're in early. This is early in this world. So you get in now. Don't shoot for the stars. Don't think you can't make a perfect rocket. Don't think you can't assemble a Franken rocket. Don't think you can get a part. Think about those things. And if you can't do it with money, there are other ways, like Ben just outlined. There's a huge opportunity out there. We've never done something where we've released 3,000 of anything.
Oh man, Tom, it's all about being creative. And just to tell another quick story to piggyback off that one, the reason I was able to get so many apes is that I didn't have the capital or the liquidity or the money, cash, or crypto to do it, but I was able to leverage other assets that I already had. So I was actually kind of big into Zed Run, a digital horse racing platform, and I still have a decent amount of them. But I was able to trade a few of those for apes, and I really loved having them, and that's where my capital was tied up. But in my opinion, it was worth diversifying and getting into something else. So if you have any kind of talent, skills, time, or assets that you can trade, there's a lot of creative solutions that people are open to. And in this community, people are all about giving back and helping new people. So as long as you just approach people with good intentions and you show value in what you can do or what you have, there's a lot of ways that you can, really succeed here.
And to that last point, Tom, you, me, and Charlie say this all the time. This is one of the most open and generous communities we've ever stepped into. Usually, a lot of the communities we step into, it's not always that easy or that welcoming.
Oh my God, the art world is so fucking snobby. They're the worst. Like, it's so funny when I go into like a fancy art gallery. For years, they like, because of the way I dress, are like, "May I help you?" And like the messenger entrance is to the side. And then when I tell them what my name is, they like suck my dick. It's literally the worst, snobbiest, most pretentious world. And we're looking to like unscramble that a little bit.
Totally. Those new to the space, Ben is just the beginning of how many individuals want to share their knowledge and be transparent with you. So
every crypto native person has been the opposite of that. Every crypto has been like Ben, like they want to teach. We want to teach. So one way that you can help is by teaching others and sharing the love. This is how that's the whole thing about the blockchain. We're trying to make the world a better place. And you start it by how you interact with each other, by being careful and listen and read before you speak and like help people.
Yeah, it's a great point, because that's really how I was able to get my start here and get my full-time career, I guess, in NFT started, is off the backs of other people helping me. And it wasn't because I wasn't capable, but it was the fact that people saw I had good intentions, and I would reach out to people specifically, hey, how's it going? I see you around. Like I still do this to this day. I have a lot of followers, and I still reach out to people who have a couple hundred all the time. Say, hey, I like what you're doing. Keep it up. Or, nice to meet you. I see you're involved in this. What do you think about it? Like, reach out to anybody at any time. Everybody's very generous. And one of the first big make it or break it moments for me in this industry came from my buddy Danny Ukes, who's also getting very big in the industry. So he bought for me this thing called a ghost, and it's become one of the most valuable collections in NFTs. And early on, it was very hard to get them. And just to be a friend, he bought one for me. I paid for it, but he sat up at like 3 a.m. to get a drop for me. And I ended up paying like $250 for that and selling it for over 12 grand. And that really launched me into this. And so Danny did this for a bunch of people, and he could have kept all of that. And he regretted it at one point until he realized that by doing that made him like an iconic figure in this industry. And people truly respected that. And a lot of people take that approach. And so, the fact that I've been so helped out by so many different people, and in addition to my friend Danny, I buy things from collections specifically to give them away. Like, there's a lot of people who reach out to me to do giveaways on my account. Just, hey, we'll give you a free NFT if you give this away. And I say, no, I don't accept that, but I would love for you to just give that away to my followers anyway. Things like that. So there's a lot of that going around here. And so the main advice I would give is be open, be sociable, don't be scared to reach out to anybody. You may not get a response immediately or ever, but it doesn't hurt to do it. And most people will always be very open to it.
Yeah, the rules of sympathetic magic exist here too.
I love that. I feel like we could almost leave it on that, unless Ben and Matt, you think there's anything else like major in the chat that's outstanding.
No, I just want to say great job, guys. Holding a fantastic AMA. And Maddie, sorry, I saw you were coming on. I'll pass it to you right after. But great job holding this. I love the project. A lot of great questions as well. I hope we were able to ease concerns from people and help you understand this. And we'll be in the Discord and answering questions and helping out. So yeah, Maddie.
I was just gonna say I've been trying to answer a bunch of the questions in the chat. I think everyone has really good questions. I'm sure there'll be a lot more over the course of the project. Keep asking them. I really also just generally love all of the support that people are giving a lot of the newer community members, people that are newer to crypto. It's awesome seeing, you know, all these like help posts being created and like all the insight and advice being shared. That's like one of the really amazing aspects of all of this stuff in the NFT community, is that people are just so willing to help and engage with you. So I love seeing that. Definitely encourage people to keep that up, and hopefully a lot of people's questions and concerns will be addressed in all of the articles and information that will be released in the future. But yeah, this was awesome. Really appreciate everyone's everyone engaging.
Thanks, guys, and stay tuned. There'll be more.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. See you in the Discord.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.